Choosing an intervention model is just one step in the implementation of MTSS. The next critical step is aligning the staff and resources to ensure your model is properly supported and sustainable. It's highly recommended that schools consider implementing any new initiative by first looking at what current initiatives are already in place. This can simply be done by inventorying current initiatives and listing the number of staff committed, the costs, the allocation of resources, the data supporting the effectiveness of those strategies as well. By completing this analysis, you can prepare to abandon practices that may not be yielding results, to open up resources and funds to pursue strategies that work. It's highly recommended as schools consider implementing a new initiative that an analysis of the current staffing and resource structures are evaluated. We mentioned in the previous slide how we would evaluate what initiatives are more effective than others and what could we abandon to open up space for new initiatives. But sometimes this process needs to go a little bit deeper in looking at particularly the staff and the resources you have available. This can also be done informally by meeting with a leadership team and listing out what intervention and programs you currently offer, what do they do, and then identify the effectiveness using student data. Or you can use a research-based process like the one developed by the folks at ersstrategies.org. They provide free online research-based tools that are simple and effective. It doesn't take a lot of time. They're fairly simple to navigate. There's a lot of different types of tools that you might find are also appealing. I definitely recommend you check out that site. In many ways, MTSS is an engine for improvement within a school. However, like all engines, MTSS requires fuel and maintenance. The staff and resources you allocate is what drives the engine. The better fuel mixture within these allocations, the better the MTSS engine will run. I can't emphasize enough how important this mixture or makeup of staffing and resources is to your MTSS efforts. When considering staffing, identify which individuals will bring value to the system, when will they have time to support the system, and what level of commitment will be needed. When looking at your resources, what funding streams like grants, Title 1A, 31A can be used to support the systems? Where will the interventions be implemented? And are there better areas than others for particular interventions? And finally, what structures and supports will be ongoing to keep school efforts moving in the right direction? So we've just covered a lot of topics around staffing and resource allocation. So let's go through a quick scenario. Say that you've administered some assessments and you've identified that you have many students that need Tier 2 reading fluency interventions. So the next thing you'll have to do is identify what staff could do that. And of course, all your staff are already assigned, so they're going to have to give up something to be able to do that. And so you have to look at your schedule. And then you have to decide, is this person going to need some kind of training? Do they already have the training, or is it something that you're going to have to go outside and get them additional support? Are there going to be materials that are also needed for that intervention? And then how do we get teachers and students matched up in the schedule so that they can offer the intervention to the students and the students have the flexibility to be there for the intervention? So that's essentially what we did by trying to identify the intervention, the types of interventions that are available, the staff that we have available, and then how different schedules can open up those connections for teachers and students to have the time to be able to participate within the interventions. Now that we've dove headfirst into looking at staffing, funds, and resource allocation around MTSS, do you have a process in place that lists current initiatives by the allocation of funds and resources? The reason this is important is you want to ensure that you're not duplicating interventions. You could have two of the same interventions, essentially, that maybe one's using one grade level and the other's using another, but you're still trying to support both of those, and it'd be easier to support just one of those. The next thing would be, if you implement MTSS, are there other programs or initiatives that are going to be affected? Is this going to hurt the possibility for students to be in an intervention and receive Title I services? Is it going to impact special education? You want to make sure that all the chips are on the table so you can sort those out as a group, because obviously the more eyes that you have on a problem, you'll be able to come up with a more streamlined approach.